Hey, guys, girls, whatever genders you are out there. Um, have another test to take today. It's gonna be Jonathan Haidt and that crew, the Moral Foundations test. God damn it, I'm still getting that bitrate message. I keep forgetting to Google what to do about it. Anyway, I guess a few announcements. Tonight's our weekly gifted, twice exceptional, intelligent conversation, intellectual discussion Zoom. That will be at 7 p.m. Central. Contact me for the link. Primalhex, PRIMALHEX at gmail.com or on Twitter. Dolbes says, don't know about girls, but I'm here at least. I'll take it. The other thing, before that, at 5 p.m. Central, where a few of us are getting together to start Twin Peaks, the television series from the 90s. It's one of my favorite series ever, along with True Detective. So we're going to start watching that today, and you can contact me for the link for that as well. And then, as you know, tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday is the PF Jung morning show, and we usually do an after show discussion as well. So those are all the places that you can find me if you're looking for me today or this weekend, or just want to come out and meet cool people. Okay, the Moral Foundation survey. The thing that prompted me to do this is I was reading some tweets today, and I've seen this before. People like to do the I'm on the left because the right lies, and then they'll show all the things the right lied about. Or I'm on the right because the left lies. And both sides are doing it. There are people on both sides, the left and right, that are posting things on social media that are not true, or perpetuating narratives as not true. And it seemed like there was this moral superiority that I care about truth, therefore I'm aligned with the side that has the truth, and the other side is being deceptive. And it was kind of a failure to see that both sides are like capable of dealing in untruth, or at least some members, because it's not really sides. There's a political spectrum. And I started to really think, well, what does make people choose one side or over another? If both sides are engaging in truth and falsehood, and no side, I think, really has the edge there. I don't think any one side is closer to the truth than the other. It's got to be something like values. Like your side aligns or supports the values that are most important or most resonate with you, and the other side does not. And you're trying to disguise that, so that like causes you to see the falsehoods coming out of the other side more than you would see from your own side. But I don't think that's the reason that or I think if you think that's the reason you're on the left and not the right, or vice versa, is that they have some access to the truth that the other side doesn't. I think that's really masking that the real reason you're on that side is because it most aligns with your moral values. And it had me thinking about the Moral Foundations theory, which is a framework I discovered sometime in the last few years. And it really speaks to me. I was quite impressed with the way they lay out the reasons that people have the values they have and kind of the origins of them. They tie it to evolutionary theory. I'll show you the website a little bit, but mainly what I want to do is take the test. I've taken it before a while back, but I want to update it and see what my moral foundations are. So let me just give you a brief little overview. And it's Jonathan Haidt, and let's see who else. Oh, well. They don't have anything on the about us. Oh, yeah. Jonathan Haidt, this guy. You probably know him from social media. He's the one that wrote The Coddling of the American Mind. So anyway, the theory is that there's innate... Why is my... okay. There's innate kind of evolutionary reasons why we have the values that we have, and they can be different for different people. And they categorize them into 5 basic values: care and harm. It's related to our evolution as mammals, with ability to feel the pain of others and or dislike the pain of others. And it underlies the virtues of kindness, gentleness, nurturance. Another axis is fairness and cheating, which they changed at some point to something they're calling proportionality. Fairness included concerns about equality, which they say are more strongly endorsed by political liberals. However, they reformulated the theory to emphasize proportionality instead of equality, which is, they say, is endorsed more strongly by conservatives. Loyalty, betrayal. The foundation is related to our history as tribal creatures and ability to form coalitions, and it underlies the virtues of patriotism, self-sacrifice for the group. Authority, subversion, shaped by our primate history of hierarchical social interactions, the status hierarchies. And I'm also going to take the dominant. There's a test for social hierarchies. I'm going to take that one too, just for fun, because dominance hierarchies interest me a lot too, and I kind of want to see where I fall on that quiz. Authority underlies the virtues of leadership and followership, and then sanctity, degradation. Now I will tell you, last time I took this, I got the lowest score you possibly could. They call it purity on the results, so I do remember that. The foundation was shaped by the psychology of disgust and contamination. It underlies religious notions of striving to live in an elevated, less carnal, more noble way. Who'd want to live like that? Actually, and one reason I'm doing this also is to kind of using my own self as a Satanist, to examine the moral foundations of at least one Satanist and see if, like, what maybe that has to say about either Satanism or what Satanism has to say about morality and ethics. And nobility is a primary concept in Satanism. Like, all of these satanic traditions are designed to foster what they call nobility. So I don't think carnality, they oppose carnality to nobility in this description, but in Satanism, at least my Satanism, I don't see them as opposed. I see them as able to support one another. It underlies the widespread idea that the body is a temple. It's a satanic temple, except not the satanic temple, because they're woke, which can be desecrated by immoral activities and contaminants. That sounds nasty. An idea not unique to religious traditions. So care, harm, fairness, cheating, loyalty, betrayal, authority, subversion, and sanctity, degradation. They have a sixth one that they're developing, liberty, oppression. I don't believe this one's on the quiz, but I wish it were, because I have a feeling this is going to be the one that's probably highest for me as a moral foundation or more fundamental. And it's about the feelings of reactance and resentment people feel toward those who dominate them and restrict their liberty. And I've talked about something in psychology called trait reactance before, which I'm very high in. I cannot stand being told what to do, or being controlled or herded or managed or micromanaged or organized, and that feeling of reactance flares up very strongly in me when that happens. And so I wish that they do. I looked for a liberty oppression test, and I didn't find one, but I do hope that they incorporate this axis at some point, because that's the one I'm probably most interested in. Okay, and I just want to show you the test real quick. Oh, actually, I can't get to the rest of the website till I actually take the test. So I'll show you a few of the sample questions, and then I'll stop sharing the screen. But after I take the test, they're going to give me a whole list of other tests that I can take. I agree. I don't care what it says. Caring for people who have suffered is an important virtue. I would say that I do work in mental health. I am an empath, a hyper empath. But I also know there's a limit to, like, I can't care about someone suffering to the point where I can't function in my own life. I'm going to put describes me fairly well. Everyone should try to comfort people who are going through something hard. Comfort, possibly, yes, as a first stage toward giving them tools to cope and get themselves through what they're going through, instead of having to rely on comfort. But I've been comforted many times in my life when I was going through something hard, and it definitely helped. So I'm going to put a 4 for that one. The effort a worker puts into a job ought to be reflected in the size of the raise they receive. I think so. Like merit, being rewarded for competency, effort, and merit, I'm going to say fairly well. So that's an example of the questions. And I'm just going to stop sharing and just go through them. Our society would have fewer problems if people had the same income. No, I don't think at all. I don't think our problems are income related. I think people are going to be people. We are primates, as the Morale Foundation description said. And we're going to continue to run into conflict and status issues, whether we had money or not. It's giving me that damn stream message again. It makes me happy when people are recognized on their merits. I would say yes. That describes me extremely well. I'm very meritocratic. I like having people's skills and abilities be recognized and rewarded. I think having a strong leader is good for society. Maybe good for society, like the masses, social cohesion, not necessarily good for me. I'm not opposed to strong leaders, but I prefer to choose. Like, I know who I'm going to follow and who I'm not. I don't like having a leader imposed on me. So it depends on who the leader is. But I think in general, for society, I'm going to put a 4 for that one. I believe chastity is an important virtue. Well, I am in the kink community, and chastity has a whole different meaning there. So I'm going to try to take their meaning as they probably intended on the test, which is sexual purity. I don't know. I mean, at what age? I think at a certain age it is, but after that, I don't think it's any better or worse than not being chaste. I'm going to put a 1. Does not describe me at all. That's probably where I got a 1 on purity last time I took it. The world would be a better place if everyone made the same amount of money. Didn't you just ask this? Or our society would have fewer problems? No, I don't think the world would be a better place. I don't think quality of social harmony or lack of is, I don't think the amount of money people have is ultimately at the root of that. I'm torn between a 1 and a 2. Does not describe me at all. Like universal basic income, if we all had at least a minimum amount of money, I'm kind of sympathetic to that. Like, I don't want to see people struggling in poverty. I'll put a 2 just in case this includes concepts like UBI. Everyone should love their own community. People can't control what they love, and I certainly am not going to try to tell people what they should love. So the fact that they're moralizing it as a should, I'm going to say does not describe me at all. I feel good when I see cheaters get caught and punished. I used to watch that cheater show every now and then. I do like seeing bad guys get caught and punished. I'm not going to lie. But then sometimes I like seeing them get away with stuff, particularly in fiction, if depending on how the like larger society is portrayed. Sometimes the outlaws can be framed as the good guys. But yes, in general, I like to see cheaters get caught and punished. That's going to put me high on that fairness thing. Everyone should defend their country if called upon. I mean, why would you not want to? But should people be forced? Are people that are forced to fight can you even trust them to be effective fighters? I would like to see everyone defend their country. I don't know if I want to enforce it, but I also want to keep the country. I'm going to put a 4. I'm leaning toward 5, but because I can see a few qualifications to that, I'll put a 4. It pains me when I see someone ignoring the needs of another human being. It depends on the context. Like, I walk by homeless people all the time and ignore them. I learned to do that when I lived in Austin, Texas. It's called the Strip. It's Guadalupe Street. It's the main drag in front of the university. And when I first moved there, you cannot walk down the street. Like, the homeless sit on the sidewalk, like just sit against the wall with their legs out. And you're just walking over their legs as you step down the side. And this was in 1991. And it was that bad. So I can't even imagine what it's like now. And you were just like walking over one home. If you stopped and talked to every single homeless person, you would not even get to where you were going. And so I learned to kind of tune that out. If I wanted to be effective in my own life, I learned to ignore some needs of other human beings. And it pained me a little bit for a little while, but it really, you got adjusted to it. I cannot take on all of the needs of every single human being in the world. I'm not that. I guess I'm not that compassionate. I'm definitely empathic, but I think that's separate from compassion. I have a very like rational, targeted compassion when it makes sense to be compassionate. So I will say slightly describes me, but I'll give it a 2. In a fair society, those who work hard should live with higher standards of living. Those who work hard should be rewarded, and then they can determine what standard of living they want based on whatever means they have from that reward. But I don't necessarily think that, like, I don't want to prescribe somebody's standard of living to them just based on the fact that they work hard. I'll put a 2. Or should I put a 1? In a fair society, those who work hard should live with higher standards. No, I'm going to put a 1 because I don't like that should word. I think it is important for societies to cherish their traditional. But again, cherish is an emotional feeling. I don't care how people feel about them. They don't have to cherish them. They can feel all different types of ways, and it could change from even within one person. Could have multiple complex feelings about their values. I think it's important to understand why we have the values and maybe their origins and their importance, and to like try to understand them, and then once you do, if you are able to understand them, maybe help conserve them. But like values are individual. Like that was my whole reason for taking this quiz, was because my contention is that everyone has these individual values that draws them to support different groups or causes, and they're not truth-based, they're value-based. I'm going to put a 2 just because I think it's important to at least try to understand the traditional values, and that might be implied in cherish slightly. I think people should be rewarded in proportion to what they contribute. Yes, a 5. I believe that compassion for those who are suffering is one of the most crucial virtues. Crucial in what sense? What is crucial here? Compassion is a good thing. I mean, I'm not going to say don't be compassionate, but it's also can be individually determined what you want to be compassionate about and what level of compassion you want to put into it. I'll put a 3. I'll put middle of the road. Moderately describes me. I believe it would be ideal if everyone in society wound up with roughly the same amount of money. Didn't I say no earlier? That's like the 3rd time they asked this. I admire people who keep their virginity until marriage. I don't care or think about it at all, really. I mean, I'm realistic enough. I was sexually active very early. I'm realistic enough to know that people are going to be, like, a lot of the teens I knew were. But there is something kind of noble, like if somebody, it shows like a level of commitment to an ideal, and that's kind of admirable. I will put a 2. Slightly describes me. I think the human body should be treated like a temple housing something sacred within. I do think there is something sacred within. Put it this way, I think if there's anything sacred at all, it's going to be within the human. It's not going to be outside of us, like outside of humanity. But I don't necessarily draw the conclusion from that our body should be treated like a temple. I think you should take care of your body and respect it, but I don't know if you need to have this sacred reverence for. I think that's going to vary from individual to individual. I don't like that should word again. I'll put slightly describes me. If I found out that an acquaintance had an unusual but harmless sexual fetish, I would feel uneasy about them. I am that acquaintance. I'm probably that acquaintance. It does not bother me at all. I know people with so many weird sick, crazy, disturbing, fucked up fetishes, and like as long as I have to see them, I don't treat them any differently than anybody else. That's just kind of the price of entry into the BDSM community. Kink shaming, they call it. Like, don't kink shame. So I put a no, I put a 1. It does not describe me at all. It upsets me when people use foul language like it is nothing. No, I love it. I love people who I trust people who curse. It upsets, so I need a 1. Does not describe me. I think people who are more hardworking should end up with more money. More or less, like I do believe in rewarding, like having something come out of hard work that like makes it worth it. So I will put a 4. You know what? I'm gonna put a 5. I feel that most traditions serve a valuable function in keeping society orderly. Well, y'all know how I feel about the word orderly. I scored very low on that Big 5 test in orderliness. Um, but society, like functioning and cohesive, yes, I do. Moderate, I'm going to put a 4. A few years ago, I might have put lower, but look like society as it is now, I'm going to put a 4. We should all care for people who are in emotional pain. Again, caring is not, you can't moralize care. People either care or they don't. You can't force the ones to care that don't. It's nice if you're able to care for people in emotional pain, depending on the person and the situation. Some people are in emotional pain because they put themselves there and they will fight you if you try to get them out of it because they're addicted to being in that situation and the pain. That's their norm. I have a hard time caring for those people. I'm gonna put a 1 because of that should word. I believe that everyone should be given the same quantity of resources in life. Same for that UBI question. I'll put a 2 just because I'm like during COVID, we got the COVID money and all that, and I thought that was a good thing. I know it really helped me out, and I didn't see any like too many bad effects from it. I believe the strength of a sports team comes from the loyalty of its members to each other and their skill and competency, but I think the loyalty is important. I watch Survivor a lot, and like the tribes that are more cohesive sometimes do better in challenges. Or put it this way, the tribes that are not, a lot of times you could see the effect in the challenges because the tribe is just not work, like they're not on the same, they can't get on the same page. There's too much interpersonal disharmony, and it does show up in the challenges a lot of times, but then sometimes they pull it off anyway. I'll put a 4. When people work together toward a common goal, they should share the rewards equally, even if some worked harder on it. It depends on the goal, depends on the person, depends on the group, but in general, if everybody's working on it, depends on like how much. Some worked a little bit harder, but if somebody did like 90% of the work and everybody else did 10%, that person should get more rewards. So this question is kind of ambiguous, or at least too ambiguous for me to figure out what to put as an answer. I'll put a 3 right in the middle. I get upset when some people have a lot more money than others in my country. No, I don't. I am empathetic toward those people who have suffered in their lives. Yes, I am. If it's genuine, sometimes people manufacture suffering, like microaggressions and misgendering and dead naming. That's not suffering to me. I'm not empathetic to that at all. In fact, I'm irritated by it. I will say I'll put a 4 for that reason. Because there's just some suffering that I have a hard time being empathetic to if I can't take it seriously as suffering. But genuine suffering, yes, I'd put a 5. It upsets me when people have no loyalty to their country. Yes, it does. Especially like this hate America sentiment lately. I grew up in this country and I experienced issues, but it's never crossed my mind to like turn against America or not appreciate it or value it or love it or feel patriotic towards it. This is my country. I have as much stake in it and emotional investment in it as anybody else. And I'm attached to it. So people that find reasons to not like America, I just don't think they're appreciating what they have. And I'm using America because it's my country. If I lived in Canada, I might put a one. I'm just kidding. That's for all my Canadian friends that keep like infiltrating my life lately. It upsets me when people have no loyalty to their country. Yes. I'd say extremely well. People should try to use natural medicines rather than no, because of the should. Those shoulds are starting to irritate me. People should use whatever medicines they want to use it they think is going to help them. That's like reasonable and not going to hurt them. I think children should be taught loyalty to their country. I think it should be fostered and nurtured and developed. I think they should be taught the advantages and benefits and the positive good that comes from living in their country, and that may inspire or evoke loyalty. But I don't know that they should be indoctrinated. Like, you must be loyal to your country because it's just a good thing to be. I'll put a 4 or maybe a 3. I'll put a 4 because taught could imply developing, nurturing, all the things I said. We all need to learn from our elders. We don't need, you don't need to learn anything. I think if you're not learning from your elders, you just being stupid. There's such a resource. When I growing up, one of my favorite things to do was to listen to all the old people tell their stories. My grandma, and their friends, and we always had old people around us because we had like generational. We had like several generations, and we had big family gatherings all the time. So there were always old people around, and sitting around and listening to their stories was one of the joys of my childhood. And I think I've told you before, there was an old lady that lives next door to us. I used to go visit her when I was bored. I would just walk over and knock on her door. We'd sit in her living room and talk for like an hour. Then she'd give me a quarter for some reason. I just loved doing that as a kid. I just wanted to absorb everything I could from old people. So you don't need to do it, but if you're not doing it, you're missing out. So I'm getting caught on that word need. I'll put a 3. I believe that one of the most important values to teach children is to have respect for authority. Depends on the authority, because I don't have respect for authority I don't consider legitimate or competent. But I think it's important to teach children to have respect in general. Like I've always been, growing up, we were taught yes ma'am, no ma'am. I'm always respectful to cops and security guards, or people in positions of authority. I don't try to pick fights with them. I did one time when my mom called the cop, tell me thrown out of the house because he didn't know the law. But in general, I try to be cooperative. Yeah, I did the same thing with this old guy in my street. I don't remember anything. Yeah. Dolbez was doing it too, like talking to old people. They're like Laurie Anderson has a lyric in one of her songs. When my father died, it was like a whole library burned down. Like one old person can be such a resource or compendium of knowledge and wisdom. And I wonder if people like us just intuit that as kids and try to access that. I'm still caught on this respect for authority question. I think they should also be taught to evaluate, criticize, and question authority too. I'll put a 3. Everyone should feel proud when a person in their community wins an international. Quit telling people how to feel. No, they can feel however they want. And they will feel however they want, because that's how feelings work. I think obedience to parents is an important virtue. I wasn't, because we didn't have to be. My mom was pretty permissive, and she rarely could get us to listen to her anyway. And she was a single mom, so she was like the sole authority figure, but she really didn't have any. We did what we wanted. I listened to my grandma because I respected her, and I listened to people that I respected, but that was intrinsic. Like, it wasn't because people were telling me to or forcing me to. It's because I chose to. because of my relation or how I felt about that person. But having been in the classroom and having to do classroom management and get people to like be quiet when the bell rings and get in their seat and focus on the lesson and all that, I, I'm torn on this one. The rebel in me wants to put a 1. The grown up in me wants to put a 3. I'll put a 3. Ooh, was that it? We're finished? Ooh, I got a little bit higher purity than I did last time. All right, here's the results. Ta-da. Care, 3 out of 5. So I'm right in the middle on care. I'm not as cold hearted, dead inside as I thought. I still have like little embers of compassion. The average is 3.7. So like the average person is not even a 4 or 5. So I feel good about care. Equality. Is that the fairness? That's the one they said they changed the proportionality. Yeah, I'm not surprised because this is like the equity and fairness and all that. Those I believe were like the questions of should equal work be rewarded, or should the person that did more work get more, or should everybody have the same amount of money, all that. So I'm not surprised I was lower. Loyalty, yeah, I don't know where they're getting. I'm way more. I am one of the most loyal people. That's a Cajun trait too. Cajuns are very, very loyal. I am loyal until I have a reason not to be. Like I will be loyal to the end to a person or a group until they become dysfunctional or pathological or malignant somehow, and then for my own health, I might have to break that loyalty. But as long as they're consistent in the reason that I'm loyal to them in the first place, I don't. It never even crosses my mind to change my allegiance. So I don't know what questions they use for this, but I think I'm higher in loyalty than this. But I'm still higher than the average. Look at that. The average, see, people are not very loyal. 2.5. That's out of 1 to 5. That's right in less than half. Authority. Wow. Whoa. No. This cannot be. How am I higher in authority than average person? See, I said before that I feel like a bad Satanist. I'm supposed to be the rebel and the outlaw, and I am. So I don't know how I got here. That was from telling people that the kids, I put a 3, that they should respect their parents and listen to their parents, and it brought me to authority. I think this is a testament to all the adulting that I've had to do. And then proportionality. Humans in general are not all that pure. I mean, we're nasty little monkeys. And so I'm not that much lower, but yeah, I'm not all, you answered highly on stuff like respect parents. Yeah, damn it. Like I said, bad Satanist. Pure, I'll have to do some kind of ritual. Last time I took it, I had a 1. I'm not kidding. My purity was 1, and now it's a 1.3. So I'm kind of proud that I'm low in purity. I'm not all self-righteous and sedity. But then apparently most humans are not either. I mean, we're carnal beings. We're primates. We have all these instinctive urges, and I don't try to pretend like we don't. Proportionality. This is what they replace that equality thing with, where people should be rewarded in proportion to their merits. And yes, I'm a very strong advocate of that. And this is what they say conservatives tend to be stronger in, and liberals tend to be stronger in the equality. So you can see I consider myself center right. Oh, you've taken this? Funnily enough, your results are extremely similar to mine. And we're both ENTPs, I believe, and we had, what was that other thing we were similar on? Yeah, I think there's something transcendent of culture, it seems to me, like maybe related to a neurotype that, You and I are very similar, I noticed, in a lot of ways, which coincides with the ENT type. See, I'm getting fascinated by this. What is your Enneagram? Do you know it? I'm an 8-wing 7, which I think is also Donald Trump's Enneagram. So here's all the surveys you could take. And the one that caught my eye that I want to take today is this social dominance orientation. Oh, let me get out of here. Some groups of people are simply inferior to other groups. Inferior, it depends on in what. Like, some people can be inferior in ability. Like some people who are not Olympic athletes are inferior to the group that is Olympic athletes. Yeah, I'd be interested. Take it and see how our scores compare. We might be like soul twins or something. You might be the next iteration of. I need to find the people that came before me. Some groups of people are simply inferior to other groups. But existentially inferior, no. I don't. So contextually inferior, yes, but existentially inferior, no. It does say there are no right or wrong answers. I'm gonna just put disagree. In getting what you want, it is sometimes necessary to use force against other. Again, it's this group thing. I think this whole test is about group status and dominance. In getting what you want, it is sometimes necessary to use force against other groups. I'd say other individuals. This is like how the activists think. Everything is group power dynamics and group identity. Sometimes you do. I'll say agree slightly. It's okay if some groups have more of a chance in life than others. What groups? Like demographic groups? Families? A group is just a collection. In this case, a collection of individuals, of people. You could have all different types of groups. Like babies that are born with certain health conditions have less of a chance of life than others. And that's a group. Oh, is it okay if? I'm scared of the equality word. They explain it in the description if you go to the Morale Foundation's website, which has the link to take the test. The test is on a different site. And they explain it a little bit. Do they mean equal worth or equal standing? I know the wording, I got caught up on some of the wording too. I think they said that liberals tend to score more strongly in equality, and conservatives score more strongly proportionality. So I think equality is more on the equity side, although it could be the classical liberal sense of equality. I don't know. You kind of have to interpret. I think interpreting the questions is part of the challenge of the test too. So just see how you interpret each individual question related to equality, what you come up with. Is it okay if some group? It's not okay if some. I'll say I agree. I agree strongly. I think ideally every group should have a chance at life or in life. To get ahead in life, it is sometimes necessary to step on other groups. I disagree. If certain groups stayed in their place, we would have fewer problems. If the woke stayed in their place, we'd have fewer problems. But I wouldn't even support. I don't support authoritarian measures to keep people in what I think their place should be. I think ideas, like good ideas, should would like clear out bad. I'll disagree strongly. The Norwegian word is just better. Directly translate as opportunity equality, value equality, result equality. So it's a little more nuanced than American English or just English. I'm interested in the word. Or is it 3 different words for those concepts? Opportunity equality, value equality, result equality. It's probably a good thing that certain groups are at the top and other groups are at the bottom. I think it's good that the group I'm aligned with is at the top, but other groups, like the woke at the bottom. Um, it's good for me. Yeah, I think. Do I have a problem with hierarchy? No, especially when my group is at the top of the hierarchy. And I think the other side would say the same thing. So I'm going to say agree. Yeah, three different words, although only academia uses the three words. Inferior groups should stay in their place. What is their place in the hierarchy? No. I think hierarchies are fluid. There's competence hierarchies, organizational hierarchies, leadership hierarchies. Usually people just use equality, but mean opportunity. So equality of opportunity, like we used to use it. Inferior groups should stay in their place. I disagree. But be careful if you could try to come in my place. You better be able to secure your position. Sometimes other groups must be kept in their place. No, disagree. It would be good if groups could be equal. I mean, some groups can be. Sometimes it does happen that groups are more or less on parity and then are able to coexist, maybe even form a larger group. I'll agree. Group equality should be our ideal. Like equality between groups or within the group. I'll disagree slightly. All groups should be given an equal chance in life. You already asked that. We should do what we can to equalize conditions for different groups. Yeah, if emphasis on what we can. And I think that's one of my arguments against equity and social justice is let's look at all of the factors creating the disparities and see what we can equalize. Instead of that assuming it's this form of like intentional oppression that's designed to keep a group in their place. Yeah, I agree strongly. We should do what we can. Increased social This is the question. Increased social equality. Do I agree with that? I don't even know what that is. I'm going to disagree just because it sounds woke. We would have fewer problems if we treated people more equally. If you treat people as individuals, you wouldn't have any of these problems at all. Like, that's what I do. I don't even have to worry about what group they're in because I just treat them as whoever they are, like their name. I was talking about a friend about this the other day. We were thinking it might be generational, but we grew up playing with kids of all like neighborhood kids, school kids of all types, and we knew people as their name, as individuals. We knew them as John or Becky or Ryan or whoever. We didn't know them as the gay guy, the trans guy, the black guy. And with the shift to online and the internet, where things seem to be more group identified, like it's like the individual is getting eclipsed by the group. And we interacted in person. Online, you have all your text frozen, and somebody could go back later and point to something you said and how it might offend this group, this invisible group out there that probably won't even ever read it. And so it's a different kind of cognitive and interpersonal dynamic and way of navigating that we didn't have. Like we could just walk out our house and, oh, look, there's Johnny. Let's go play with him. He might be black, he might be gay, but that wasn't at the forefront of how we knew him. We just knew him as an individual, and we treated all the individuals more or less equally. Unless there's somebody we didn't like, we might treat them different, or if there's somebody we liked a lot, we might treat, but it wasn't group based. We didn't treat someone differently because they were a certain group or class. So if we would have fewer problems if we treated people more equally. Probably. We should strive to make incomes disagree strongly. And this is as somebody that's on the lower tier with no income, and I still believe that it should not be equal. No group should dominate in society. I should or not, I think that they will dominate. Like We are status seeking creatures. We're going to have status and dominance hierarchies, whether they should exist or not. So it's just like gender and biology and all the other things they want to magically just wave away as if they should never be. Do I think I disagree? I'm probably going to come out as a MAGA. Let's see. Okay, here's my score. How you feel about hierarchy versus equality? Social dominance theory. Out of what? 3.563. But what is that, high or low? Like, what's men with high testosterone levels tend to have higher. So I guess the higher, I thought I'd be higher. As a Satanist, I'm proud that I'm not as high. But as a right leaning person and somebody that's science based and evolution biology based, I thought it would be higher because I do. Whether natural hierarchy should exist, I believe that they do exist. And I try to work with that fact and not against it. Political conservatives generally have higher score than do liberals, but social dominance and conservative are not the same thing because the liberals have a hierarchy too. It's the inverted hierarchy. They're trying to displace the patriarchy with the matriarchy, but there's still a hierarchy. That's why they bully and shame like the group dynamics. If you cannot see that group dynamics on the left have a hierarchy to them, okay, that sounds very reminiscent of Scandinavian solidarity. Difference is natural, but the role of society is to try to help making things socially equal. Dobes says 3-8 here. Oh, you mean Enneagram? Wait, what is, or the social dominance? What is the 3-8? Because I thought your wing had to be one of the adjacent. Let me look it up. Like I'm an 8-7 wing, and I met someone the other day. Oh, on the test I took. The social dominance. Oh, okay. Oh, a 3-8. So you're a little higher than me on hierarchy. Oh, there's an Enneagram test. I mean, I know there's the big fancy test, but is there a free test? And I'm an 8-7 wing, and I met someone the other day that's a 7-8 wing. So we're like compliments. We get along really well, and we have all this stuff in common. We realized, but then we looked at our Enneagram. It suddenly made sense because we're each other's wings. The wing is the Enneagram is a dynamic concept. You're not just a type, but the type grows and develops, and the wing is the type that you're tending to grow and develop into. Is top 8, then 3, then 7. So you're an 8, the challenger, like me? Well, I might take a test. Do you have to pay for it? Purchase a test. Yeah, they want you to pay. There's probably free ones online. Well, maybe I'll do an Enneagram test next. Not today, but the next time I do a test. So that is the moral foundations. So we're both 8s. We're both ENTPs. We're both, yeah. You said your moral foundations test is similar. We got similar scores on the social hierarchy. That's probably a good thing. I mean, there's probably enough difference to make it. I don't know. Just like with that girl I was talking about, you and I have a lot in common, and then when we look at our scores, they match up too, or the different tests, they match up as well. So that's interesting. I think that's making me more interested in typology is to see how it supports existing observations than just on its own. Like, take all the people I get along with, see if we have the same type, take the people that I fight with, see what their type is. My friend Jeff has that trauma type channel, and he has a lot of content on there delving into type, MBTI, astrology. I think he does some Enneagram, Big Five, and he has a Discord devoted to personality type too. So if anyone's interested in that, check him out. I guess that's it for the test. I finished earlier than I thought. So once again, Twin Peaks tonight at 5 p.m. Central, weekly Zoom at 7 p.m. It'll be the same link, so contact me and I can send it to you. And then tomorrow is the PF Jung show. Oh, guess what else is tomorrow? Pride over here, a few blocks from my house. They're having a big Pride block party, so I'm gonna go check that out, and I might try to stream a little bit from. It won't be live stream, but I'll stream some footage and post it later and give my thoughts on how Pride went. I'm going to like check it out and see. I haven't been to a Pride in years. And so I'm going to like reacquaint myself with the modern Pride and see what my experience. I thought about wearing the shirt to it, but I said no. I'm going to wear my rainbow satanic unicorn shirt. And honestly, the most interesting thing about MBTI to me is the underlying cognitive. Like, you're talking about the function stack, because that's for me too. And I'm studying about the there's this men website. Robert Moore did some work on archetypes, and he identified 4 main archetypes: the king, the magician, the warrior, and the lover. And the website was saying how these archetypes kind of take the place of the 4 functions. And when I'm looking at the archetypes, I'm keeping the 4 functions in mind. And so you have the function stack, and then these archetypes relate in different ways too. And you have like childhood versions of the archetypes and then mature versions of the archetypes. And each archetype has they call it the bipolar shadow. It has like an active shadow and a passive shadow. And you're supposed to integrate the 2 shadow components because they're kind of antithetical wholes. So you become aware of the 2 shadow sides of each archetype, and then you integrate them. And you do that at the childhood level, and that allows you to mature the archetype into the mature level, which also has some shadow sides that need integrating. And so becoming aware of all of these shadow sides that are active in me and trying to integrate them into these mature archetypes, and noticing which archetypes are. Maybe I'll do one on archetypes next. I know me and Mert, we're going to talk about the archetypes and wokeness, and which archetypes for me are like more maturely integrated. Like, I think my warrior is pretty strong and integrated. My lover is weak, I think, from the trauma and dissociation. My magician, some of it's intact, and my king, I think, is more intact than I realize, although I need to learn to use it and tap into it. And maybe at this men's weekend I'm going to. I did decide to go, by the way. The people in my men's groups think I should go anyway and just see what the new process is like and not get too caught up on the Lakota controversy. I did a self-analysis of my archetype and got magician as the I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. I can totally see that. And then there's like the shadows. There's the childhood magician is the childhood warrior is the hero. What is the childhood magician? Let me look. The childhood lover is the childhood king is the divine child. The childhood lover. Hang on, let me pull up the chart. The divine child matures into the king. The hero matures into the warrior. The precocious child, which is the gifted, the gifted kid, is the child version of the magician archetype. So I'm not surprised at all. And the Oedipal child matures into the lover. The Oedipal in the sense of mother, mama's boy, and being attached to the mother. The shadow side of the magician is the detached manipulator, is the active shadow, and the denying innocent one is the passive shadow. And there's a website called The Art of Manliness that has several articles delving into each one of these archetypes that draws on Robert Moore's work. And Robert Moore also has a website of his own that expands on these. So I'm really getting into this male archetype stuff. And they use these in my men's group and in the Mankind Project and probably at the Warrior Training. So I may get some more experiential like content to work with around these archetypes. Although the thing I did was more than just, what was it? Do you remember? It was a self-analysis. Was it using a particular framework from someone? I'm interested. We should do a whole episode on archetypes. We could do a panel if you want. We could have Mert and you and whoever else. I know Jeff is interested in archetypes. We use them a lot in our men's work. Two that show up in my life from like the Robert Bly stuff is the Dark Father and the not the Dark Trickster, although I do have that. The what was the other one? Fuck. I don't remember. Oh, the Wild Man. And Satan, my friend here, is the ultimate Wild Man and the ultimate Dark Father. So that's perfect. I'm not surprised. I'm a Satanist. I've done self-analysis, really look into who I am, and have definitely some Machiavellian. You, innocent little you. I believe it. Y'all have that Viking trollishness. We all do. Like I can't even say all the manipulative Machiavellian things I've done, like just to not even realize that I was doing it. And then I look back at myself and I'm like horrified. How did you do all that? So I'm by no means an angel or a saint. I do have the devil on my shoulder. But I try to live from my higher ideals. Although my biggest sin is definitely pride. Gluttony. Oh. Pride is an ego. That's one of mine too. It shocks me how big my ego is. But that's also one of the shadow. I think it's the king, maybe. The ego. Yeah, the I just pulled it up. The king. It's the ego and the tyrant. That's something. It's the tyrant, which is the ego, and the weakling, the inferior wretch, and those are shadow sides of each other. I love me some food. Do y'all have good food in Norway? Is it just fish? Y'all eat like out the ocean, like Japan does. I watch a lot of Norwegian TV. Like I love those Scandinavian mysteries, and the food they're always eating is, I don't know, being from being Cajun. I don't know. We eat gross stuff too, though. We eat everything that comes out of the ground. Yeah, I'm very aware of the fact that I think I'm better than average, maybe even a lot. That's interesting. I want to talk about that one day because I have that too. My ex definitely had it, and it shows up in the gifted community a lot. There's something called gifted supremacy. There's also something called autistic or Asperger supremacy, Aspie supremacy. And I don't buy into that because I think my other side of the shadow is just as balanced. But I've have experience with my own ego, and I've definitely experienced it in others. And I'm very interested in talking about that, particularly in the gifted community or people like us that are on the higher end of the bell curve. The good food is the imported recipe. What's your favorite food or favorite type of cuisine? I'm gonna have to run to the store after this, in fact, and get my food. Well, that is it for today, I guess, unless you want to come and play with us this evening. We have lots of spaghetti carbonara. Oh, yeah. Italian's my favorite cuisine. Italian and Thai and Mediterranean. Yeah. That's the one with the bacon, huh? Yummy. You make me hungry. I guess I should get off here and go forage. Okay, I just wanted to see what my moral foundations are, and now we know. Um, I'm more caring than I feel like I should be. I'm less pure, like I knew it would be. I'm that authority one is the one that really surprised me, particularly in relation to the norm, because I'm like, oh, I'm the rule breaker and the troublemaker and the trickster and the outlaw, and I somehow came out more authoritarian than the average person. Which time did you? Oh, tonight. We're gonna start Twin Peaks at 3 p.m. I mean 5 p.m. Central, and then the Zoom is at 7 p.m. Central. So I don't know what that is in Norway time. But if you're around, stop by. Are you in the Gifted Discord? I think you are. If not, I'll send you an invitation because the link will be in there. And then you can pop in. And if not, we'll probably do an after show tomorrow after PF Jung. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's it. It was good having a viewer today. That's originally that's where I wanted to start these live streams because I wanted to interact with viewers. I didn't want it to be me talking on the camera the whole time. And then I doing guests too. I want to do conversations and interact with the community. Um, Not just me in my own vacuum. Oh yeah, stuff is way too late, sadly. Oh, it is sadly. Okay. Well, I'll send you to the link to our other Discord if you're not already in it. And we do stuff all the time, so there may be some things that overlap with your time zone in the future. It was great to see you today and hang out, and let's talk about archetypes and ego soon. And maybe I'll catch you tomorrow at the PF Jung show. So thanks for stopping by, and everyone else that may or may not be watching, thank you too for watching. No, thank you for not watching. I never tell people to like and subscribe. I hate viewers that do that, so I won't even do it now. But you get the implication, I'm sure. Okay, take care. Have a great day. I won't say happy Pride until I actually go tomorrow and let you know how happy it is. So just peace out. Hail Satan. Bye.